Well, they say that imitation is the highest form of flattery, but not apparently when it comes to cultural appropriation. This is the Bullshit Buddies coming to you not so live from the beautiful, beautiful Taiwan. We're both feeling a little sick from the undercooked chicken, but we're here to discuss cultural appropriation today.
I like how even though your microphone's on a scissor stand, you're holding it.
Thanks for that, bro.
Yeah, no problem.
Asshole. Anyways, just a brief cursory overview for those of you who may not know what cultural appropriation is, but basically it's the idea that somebody's borrowing or stealing certain aspects of somebody's style, mannerisms, speech, usually has some kind of cultural or historical or both significance, and examples of this kind of things that happened recently would be, drunk college girls wearing dots in the middle of their forehead, appropriation of Indian culture. They had a Victoria's Secret model recently who got derided for wearing an Indian headdress because that's cultural appropriation of Native American style. Things of that sort, where the Victoria's Secret model's not wearing it because she's appreciating the cultural significance of Native American culture. Right?
Sorry, we had a small interruption there. What was your question to me again? Sorry.
Oh, it wasn't so much a question. I was just giving a brief cursory overview of cultural appropriation. I'm just kind of listing off what it is, some examples of it, and this kind of seems to come into the public discussion not super significantly, but fairly often. There's definitely a national discussion going on about it, but it's not one of the main issues people are trying to tackle. But I mean, one of the ones I heard about recently was a girl who was like 12 who got so much shit because she basically put her hair in box braids,
right,
which are traditionally African American
what are box
hairstyle.
braids?
So far as I understood it, it was basically just like not dreads, because dreads are like knotted, but a similar type. Like you get like a long cornrows type deal.
Okay. Really, dreads aren't in anymore? Because I was thinking about dreading my hair.
No, they're in. I just mean that's not what.
Do you think I should dread my hair?
You don't smoke enough weed for that.
That's true. I don't actually smoke any weed. Doesn't work with my brain for some reason. But
anyways, she got all this shit on social media, and all these people calling her a horrible, filthy racist, and she like came out with this like whole long apology, and the apology basically just boiled down to, I saw a lady in the street. She didn't even say a black lady. It was just like presumed she meant black lady who had this hairstyle, and I thought it was really cool, and I wanted to have that hairstyle too.
Yeah.
And she got the hairstyle, and she posted pictures of herself on social media and got called out as this horrible, bigoted, cultural appropriating racist, and shamed into changing her hairstyle. And it's fucking nuts. I mean, like I kicked this podcast off by saying, imitation is a pretty sincere form of flattery. I mean, you could be a little irritated if your coworker comes in with the exact same haircut as you, a week after you get it, but at the same time, what that basically means is he thinks your haircut looks cool.
Yeah. Before we really dive deep into this, there's a difference between, I would say, blackface, which is the intent is inherently to be racist, and fashioning your hair, wearing a costume that is an archetype of a culture. So, like the lady that the Victoria's Secret model who wore a headdress, she was wearing an archetype of Native American culture, one that she might very well respect. I don't understand the people that are against borrowing from other cultures.
Well, like if she had done sufficient study, on this, it would have been cool, right? But she's
okay. So she's
just wearing the headdress without knowing anything about its significance, and that's
looks nice.
What's fucking
Victoria's Secret model in a headdress never looks bad.
Well, so I cruised through the wiki on culture appropriation real quick, kind of to buff up for this.
Sure.
And it occurred to me that they had listed in there two things that kind of struck me as interesting. Is one, okay, so putting a jewel in the middle of your forehead does have a lot of pretty long-reaching cultural historical significance, but not all examples of cultural appropriation are the same. In that regard, one of the things they listed was grills. I was actually significantly amused to see Wikipedia use the word wigga on their thing discussing this. But grills are not a long-reaching. They don't have some fucking kind of religious significance that dates back 1,000 years and all this. I mean, it's definitely a black cultural thing, but it's popped up in the last. I don't really know how long grills have been around, but I think saying 40 years would probably be a massive stretch.
I think it's been like 1998. Yeah, so let's call it 20.
20 actually does seem, yeah.
But I wouldn't even say it's a black thing. I would say it's a hip hop culture thing. Like it's and whether
it's mostly black though.
Well, yeah, but you remember like Snow, Inform.
Okay, sorry, like the two token white rappers in the entire hip hop scene.
Well, yeah, Eminem, you got Whitey Ford, but
you can count them on one hand though, in a huge movement of people. But
what I was going to say was it's not indicative of black culture. It's indicative of hip hop culture where you wear your money. I mean, it's your bling. Like you show it off. What more can you show off than having a set of platinum teeth? It's not necessarily an appropriation.
Examples. I could think of a lot more practical examples of something to show off than.
Well, we all could, yeah.
Teeth.
For apparently for Italians, it's Rolexes, but
I'd be more likely to go that route.
I wouldn't. I just couldn't justify spending that money on a fucking watch.
If you had to choose between a watch and fake dentures that are made out of platinum.
I
can't believe you're thinking about this this long.
No, I was saying I would go with the gold-plated Speedo. Even if I had to choose only between those two, I would go with the.
If you have to choose between A and B, you pick C.
No, I would probably go with the Rolex.
Great, exactly. My point.
Or the Lamborghini, if I'm choosing cars. Actually, Bugatti's way better.
Anyways, second point that I kind of gleaned reading through the Wikipedia was that there's, at least from what Wikipedia cited as examples of cultural appropriation, a lot of it was talking about stuff that people of color have taken from white culture, that white culture has taken from other white cultures. And then I noticed while reading that you never hear about examples of this. And two of the prime things that Wikipedia listed were blue jeans, culturally significant, symbol of the Old West, and an American stylistic choice, and then suits, which I forget where they originally came from, but it was a European thing, and it kind of, I think it was like England came up with it, or France, and then the English thought it was cool and they got it, and then the Scottish lords thought that was a cool look, so they got it too. So there's, so it was bouncing around even between white culture. So it's not a one-directional thing,
right?
But the thing that struck me the most was, when was the last fucking time that you ever heard anything about white people being upset at people of color wearing jeans?
I've heard that argument before.
Just answer the question.
Yeah, never.
That's my point.
Well, never. Maybe in the deep South with Billy Bob Joe Danny Thorpe.
And then wearing jeans.
He might have got pissed off a little bit, but
wearing jeans. You could rightly call a white dude wearing fucking, just a sports jersey with the fucking hat and a grill in. You can call him a wigga.
Just to play devil's advocate, I think blue jeans are a little different than something like a headdress or a dot in the middle of the forehead.
Well, they're both culturally significant.
Right.
And this is another thing. This one I thought of myself, not from Wikipedia, but two prime examples: St. Patrick's Day and Oktoberfest. Cultural, going back at least 1,000 years.
Yeah.
Hugely ingrained in the societies that they came from, do have cultural and historical significance. And I've been to Oktoberfest, and like legit ones, like tent and the fucking food and there are there's plenty of non-white people there.
Yeah.
And I've never seen one of the people curating these things, or the bartender or something, getting pissed because there are people of color who are partaking in their cultural tradition. And I think if that person of color said, I want to learn about this, and I want to learn the history and the significance, and I want to be respectful, they'd probably be great. I'm sure any one of those fuckers at an Oktoberfest would be down to just rant at you about the significance of Oktoberfest until the following day. But if they don't want to do that and they just want to eat some good German food and drink some good beer, it's like, all right, let me get you a second pint. You know, like there's no animosity. It seems like when people of color appropriate any elements of white culture, it's fine. But as soon as you got guys wearing grills or girls putting in dreads or cornrow braids, or Victoria's Secret models wearing headdresses, it's this huge insensitive offense.
Right.
A huge double standard.
Well, it's silly, especially when you think of like how, like black, and I hesitate to say it because it seems like a segregatory stance, but black American culture has influenced white American culture to a great extent. Music, dress, you know, but in the past we've always, I mean, there might have been some animosity there, but we've always shared cultural, or you know, fashion tips or whatever the fuck. So I don't understand why it's now such a thing. Like, white dudes have been in dreads for a long time.
Well, yeah, and that's
and it's a great typifier to say this is a guy I probably don't want to talk to right now.
No, that's a good point. So, I mean, dreads are one of the pretty common things where people will blow the fuck up and, you know, accuse the white person who has dreads of not understanding the historical and religious significance of dreads in Africa. And it's like, okay,
but Vikings wore them.
Existed in, you know, more modern African cultures. They also existed in one of the main cradles of civilization, Egypt, but they also existed in Italy. Yeah, they also existed in the Viking era. And I mean, the idea of having matted hair is not exclusive to certain people in Africa. So the idea that people are getting I mean, that's like a kind of a totally different example to something like grills, which are definitely a very modern kind of phenomenon that people are appropriating. But with a lot of things, it's like these things developed independently of one another. Well, across the globe, or even if they got transmitted as fashion statements 2,000 years ago, why the fuck do you care if somebody?
Well, I think you got to take this in two different segments, and one is the daily usage, right, and the other is dressing up on a festival like Halloween, you know, a holiday. So, what is a person saying? If they choose to represent, let's just take grills, right? So a white guy is walking down the street, he's wearing a grill. What's he saying? Is he saying, this is a horrible fucking thing of black culture that I'm going to mock and make fun of? Absolutely not. He's saying, this is something I appreciate, and I want to represent it, and I like it.
I would say that the counter argument to that would be, all right, you take the drunk sorority girls going out on some party, and they think that Benny dolls just look really cute. And they just want to put jewels in their forehead. Okay,
but that would be the holiday thing. My point
is, like, that's not even respecting it, right?
Right. Well, no, I'm taking in two different. I'm taking in two different things here. So to expedite this, the drunk sorority girls going out on Halloween dressing up like whatever, or just when
not even dressing up, just it's a party.
Right.
They just want extra jewelry.
But what are they? What's wrong with it?
Oh, see, I don't think anything's wrong with it. Yeah. I think that it's fine that things are just allowed to look cool. It's just that you were kind of going on this track where it was like that they like respected.
No. I was saying,
and I don't think that's not even the qualifier for me. Like for me, wanting to look or dress or act a certain way is literally predicated on like, do I like how that looks?
Well, no, I was saying,
I don't give a fuck where it came from. I don't think I should have to.
I think half the argument against appropriation, because you really only see it levied against white people. Which I think we're people of color too, right? White's a color.
Definitely not colorless.
Yeah,
I'm paler than
we're
I'd like
we're
to be,
varying shades of pink.
Pink to kind of tan for the most.
Yeah, but is
a light beige.
We do, admittedly and fairly enough, we do have a history of mocking in the past with blackface and some weird representations of shit that we did. But modern day, what's a person actually who day to day, not dressing up to go out, just going to work, who decides to wear a grill or wears hair and dreads, whether he knows anything about the culture or not, it's not inherently mocking, is my point.
I'm picturing like a checkout stand employee at Walmart with an Indian headdress right now.
But would you okay, so here's a different way to think about it. If you go to Walmart and you see the guy with a white dude with a massive grill in his face, would you say he's racist? No, you'd be like, he's probably really into hip hop.
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
But a lot of people would.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of this, is that it's just kind of this ridiculous double standard, and B, just like hair trigger sensitivity to so fucking cares if
it's almost like this podcast we have nothing to talk about because it's just so fucking stupid. This idea, I mean, of cultural appropriation. But on Halloween or some kind of holiday where you dress up as Indian and a slave and a pirate. Let's just say that
slave's a little racy, I would say.
Right, it's a little racy, but okay.
Actually, I have another.
Wait, let me just go.
I have another decent example of that, actually, and that would some Mario. I'm not really following Nintendo games anymore, but I guess there's some Mario game out where there's some like mini game or just some cutscene or some shit where Mario and Luigi are wearing sombreros and playing. I think it's ukuleles.
It's not ukuleles, but it's like that.
It's full acoustic.
It's like a guitar, but
I mean, it looks small because
they're in a banda band.
They look small because they're video game characters, but basically they're trying to be like a mariachi band, and they're just being very stereotypically Mexican in this rendition of what they're doing, and this got this whole backlash on Twitter over Twitter and Tumblr over just how racist and cultural appropriationist it was. And the thing that struck me was with Mario and Luigi, two epitome stereotypes of Italians. Well, mamma mia, and there's all this shit, and they're fucking plumbers, and their names are Mario and Luigi, who have been basically just nothing but Italian stereotypes since their contraception, are now being accused of appropriating a culture.
Yeah,
because they're wearing sombreros in a small cutscene of a game somewhere. And it does seem to be this huge double standard. Fuck, like St. Patrick's Day is a pretty nationally celebrated thing. And most of the time, if you're going to a bar on St. Patrick's Day, it's just going to be more crowded than it is usually.
Right.
And they might put food coloring in their beer or something if you go to some particularly weird place. But
it's going to be green.
But if there's a white person working the bar, they're not going to be sitting there thinking like, white Irish, but I'm half Irish. I'm not offended at the fact that a bunch of college kids use St. Patrick's Day as a day to just get fucked up.
You fucking Mick. Going back to like the Mario shit is, I think on the people that want to backlash against this and say it's racist, what they're actually hiding, or maybe not really hiding, is an inherent segregation urge, to where black people have their culture, Mexicans have their culture, and they're not indispersible. The end of racism and the end of xenophobia is when our cultures are indispersible with each other. And the first thing that's going to happen, you see it today with Trump saying he loves taco bowls, which aren't Mexican, but he loves burritos, assumingly. You see it with food and you see it with dress. And those are the first things you're going to see. That is another culture embracing another, and it goes both ways.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point, actually. I never really thought about it through that lens, but yeah, cultural, or advocates against cultural appropriation are actually kind of advocates for segregation.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, damn, that's so fucking plain. But
so profound, right? Jesus.
I said plain, not profound.
No, but I mean,
it's so self-evident in what they're talking about that
smart.
They don't want those things to mix at all.
And why?
Which is a very natural. I mean, it's like, yeah, fuck. If you put people in a country with other people, why the fuck wouldn't they?
Right.
Adopt things from that main.
Well, I mean, go further down the rabbit hole. Why wouldn't you want them to mix? Because you want that culture to be pure. Okay, pure culture. We had that. We had pure white culture. Okay, that didn't work out so well.
I think purity is one argument. I think the other one would be just like an existing respect and special kind of deferential, preferential.
Right, you want that culture to be pure, without stain from anybody mocking.
I just mean
it.
okay, that's closer to the mark. But I mean, like when you say like blood purity or race purity, I kind of immediately jump to like Hitler.
Everybody does,
And
but that was the point.
It's not
right?
that it's. I almost feel like in today's political climate, it'd be more of an interest in preserving the special victim,
right,
marginalized minority
okay,
characteristic than it would be like straight purity.
But
You know,
you do have people standing up and saying, we should kill white people to preserve our culture. So it's not a far stretch.
fringe though.
Yeah, it's fringe, but it gets a lot of play. It's fringe, but it's well heard.
Probably because it's so heinous.
Yeah, that's.
I mean,
fair.
if you actually had a full march overturning cars in Ferguson, calling for the death of white people and white authority figures, I feel like it would get a fair lot of media attention too. It's just not happening. So.
Just a quick aside. There was a news reporter in Pennsylvania or Pittsburgh who got fired from her job for posting a tweet about apparently there was a barbecue this family was having, and these kids came up, and I think they were adolescents or maybe in their early 20s, and they shot and killed the parents at the barbecue, and they were black kids. And the news reporter who reported on it made a Facebook post saying, it's not hard to imagine what these people were. They were young kids who had multiple parents, bounced around in state institutions for a while. Anyway, she got fired for saying that. And a lot of people were saying, and then the last point was she claimed that the reason she was fired was inherent racism, that she was being discriminated because she was white. I thought about that, right? This is not a new theme. Certainly parental, and we're going off on a tangent, but this fits.
As per usual.
Yeah. We know there's a crime problem. We kind of understand what the cause is. We don't know how to fix it. But she pointed a finger at the problem. Would we fire Trevor Noah for saying something similar? No. And I guarantee you he probably has. There's certainly been black news anchors who have said the same thing. Bill Cosby comes to mind. Not the greatest example, but he comes to mind. And we don't... So she had every right to claim racial discrimination because the reason she got fired from her job for saying that was because she was white.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're just speaking to the double standard of... Essentially, only white people are capable of racism or evil.
But this is kind of the environment that culture appropriation falls under too.
Yeah, definitely falls into that. Where I mean, only white people can commit a wrong in that regard. I mean, if a black man's wearing a suit, it's just a suit, or it's just an example of him assimilating, tops, like at best. But if you have a white guy who's wearing it in a headdress, he's being horribly offensive and insensitive.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you have much to say more on this. I'm gonna keep this one pretty brief.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, you do.
Well, I just think when you talk about fashion, you're gonna see multiple influences from multiple cultures.
Oh yeah, I mean, fashion is the lightest example. I do kind of understand to some extent why people are a little more upset about certain things that have like a religious significance. But I mean, jeans are a cultural thing, but there was wearing jeans wasn't associated with the Christian church for 2,000 years. So I could see how somebody might be a little more upset about somebody, quote unquote, appropriating something that's an example of something that goes that far back and has that much religious and historical significance.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, even just still at a baseline, it's like, what if that's how they see you practicing something along those lines and you want to emulate it? What's wrong with that? I don't see any problems. And again, the examples of Oktoberfest and St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
Those are things that do have very far-reaching historical and cultural significance, not quite religious, but if somebody who's not part of that culture and that history wants to engage in them, it seems like they get enthusiastically welcomed.
Right.
And it seems like when it's non-white people dealing with white people appropriating people of color type things, it's huge cause for concern.
Yeah. Well, to comment a little more on the religious significance of it is, would you say that somebody going into a temple who is not Jewish to celebrate one of their holidays, one of their many holidays, or a white guy taking, going to a black family and celebrating Kwanzaa with them because they're their guest, that would fall under appropriation, but it wouldn't, like, you wouldn't get the negative side effect from it.
No, you wouldn't get that visceral reaction.
Yeah. But it's kind of the same thing.
It is, yeah. I think that the main
chair's doing the pee dance.
Main takeaway from this, yes, I am. Main takeaway from this, part of the reason I'm trying to rap is just fucking dress, act, behave, celebrate whatever the fuck you want to celebrate. And if people try to give you shit for it, they are the problem, not you.
Totally agree.
And you need to. If you want to wear dreads, you don't have to research shit about the religion that was practiced by some African tribe 3,000 years ago, or research the fact that it goes back farther than that in other countries.
Yeah.
Whatever. Liking the way that dreads look is more than enough reason to want to wear them.
Sure,
to me.
Absolutely.
I still don't think you should get dreads, but
no, I won't. But yeah, remember, the people that say you shouldn't do that are inherently racist. I think that's good rap. So that was a quick one, but it's been the Bullshit Buddies, and I think we're going to be in Taiwan again.
I didn't forget my keys or anything.
Huh?
Why would we go to Taiwan again, dude? We're going to get sick. I didn't forget keys.
Yeah.
No reason to.
All right.
We don't know where we're going to be, but we look forward to having you tune in.
All right. Well, I'll talk to you later. Bye.